This is Tiffany Coulter with the Balanced Life podcast, and it has been a crazy couple of sessions. The previous one ended super abruptly, and then suddenly this one popped on and it was already recording. So I hope you're enjoying these outtakes. But today I wanted to talk about the process of building. I've been working on creating a free course. It's going to be a 2 week long course. It'll be releasing in February. And that has me thinking about some things about building. And part of building is, for me, is trigger points. Now, trigger has come to mean something very different in many circles. But when I talk about a trigger point, think about these old fountains that we used to have where there was like a bucket and there was water coming down into it, and the bucket would fill and it would tip, and then it would dump into the next one and tip and go on down and tip, and so on and so forth. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about a trigger point. I mean something like a tipping point, a point at which change has to happen because there's an overflow. And I think one thing, whether it's in our personal life or our business life, we need to think about trigger points and when we need to make changes. Let me share a practical personal application, not meaning personal to my life, but something in your personal life. So if you're trying to get rid of debt, people have like avalanches and snowballs and snowmen and I don't know, carrots, whatever. But one of the more common ways to get rid of debt is you find something that is high payments, high interest, something that's going to make an impact, and you just go after that and you get it paid off. Ideally, it would have a lower balance so that it can be paid off quickly, give you a quick win. So you can either have the high payment, high debt thing, or you can go after the one that you can pay off fast so you can apply it to the next thing. So what you do is you take that money that you were putting toward that debt and you pour it over into the next debt, so your net outflow towards debt is the same. But over time, you're getting rid of these debts, and incrementally you get rid of everything. My husband and I did that to get rid of a ton of cancer debt. If you've heard our story, you know that we were financially really bad off. I won't go into that here, but because my husband had stage 4 cancer and couldn't work for a year, there was a great recession. I couldn't buy a job. I couldn't even get McDonald's to return my calls, and I mean that sincerely. We were in a very bad state. Our reserves were gone, and so we had a ton of debt after his treatment. And it was equal to more than what we made in an entire year. And so we were chipping away at that to get rid of it. And it took us 3.5 years of a ton of work to get rid of it. But then we continued on and continued on, and we allowed ourselves some more, bonuses. And eventually we got to the only debt we had was our mortgage and my husband's student loans. We had the cars gone. We had everything. All the other debts were gone. And we're pretty much in the same situation right now. We have one small other little debt that will be gone in about 1.5 years. But basically we have just our mortgage and my husband's student loans. We don't have any other debt. We have other savings. And we did that because as we paid each thing down and eliminated each payment, we poured it into the next thing. The same thing on a growth. What is the tipping point in your business or in your professional life where you're going to do the next thing, do the next part to try to grow? If you're an employee and you're trying to grow, what kind of additional trainings, what kind of promotions are you going to try to go for? What things do you have to learn to prepare for that? And at what point in your career do you pursue that? Maybe it's a company change. Maybe it's going back to school for some kind of specialized thing to allow you to do more within your current role. If you're running your own company, this is especially important because it can mean, when are you going to hire on more staff? When are you going to bring in additional team members? When are you going to, increase the hours? When are you going to offer pay raises? All these kind of things. So what you need to consider is, what is that tipping point? Most people just kind of go through life and they react. When this thing starts to get too uncomfortable, we go, oh, I don't want this anymore, so I need to make this solution. The problem is we may not have everything prepared and ready. That happened with me in when I started writing Career Coach in 2007, because what happened was I had more work than I could handle, so I had to find the first available person to help me. thank God she was awesome at what she did. So that was something that actually worked out for me. Unfortunately, that led me to believe that I was just such a great boss that when I went out and did additional hires, I ended up hiring the wrong people and too many people because I just loved saying yes to people. And I always see the potential in people, and it sometimes prevents me from recognizing their limitations and putting them into positions where they're not equipped to do the work. And that's what happened back in 2007. I have thankfully gotten to a point where I've learned and I've developed through mentorship and things like that, and I no longer do that, at least not as much. And I'm constantly checking in with the people who work for me. Okay, is this a task that you're still good at, that you feel equipped to do? Or do you need something else? Do we need to start to move this over to somebody else so that you can focus on this? But that's based on how effective they are in their role, what kind of results they're getting in their role, and maybe things that they're not doing quite as well, although they're doing satisfactory. I want to see somebody who can really excel at that so I can really hone in on this with this staff member. So if you're like going, wait, what, huh? Like I said in my other video, I've got a free course that will be coming out very soon. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter or go over to one of my Substacks. Go to my YouTube channel, go to thebalancedlife.com and sign up so that you can hear. I will be announcing everywhere when these courses are available, and you'll be able to, sign up for free. And I go into even more detail on this and exactly how to do it. But you need to start to think now, what is it that is going to be the instigator that's going to initiate the next phase? And you need to already prepare now. So when that comes, you're not trying to learn how to do it. You already know how to do it and you can simply implement it. You start to learn how to be a college level student and how to read more difficult texts when you're in high school. So when you get to college, you're not trying to learn how to learn. You're just learning the material. Same thing is true in business ownership. All right. I hope you got something out of that. Again, I'm Tiffany with the Balanced Life podcast. If you feel a little bit overwhelmed, you feel like you've done this wrong, don't worry. We all fail. Sometimes just try to fail forward. I'll see you next time.